All right, so are we ready? We'll get started. So welcome everyone to our 5-day hormone challenge. First off, who we are and why we love hormones and energy. Also, why we created this amazing health initiative. And so Dr. Kira, you go first.
So it's so great to see you guys all here. I'm Dr. Kira Taylor, naturopathic doctor, and in my practice, I really focus on women's health and hormones and fertility. And I'm so passionate in helping women to understand their hormones so they can feel good in their bodies. And really, I believe hormones can be a superpower. When you understand the ebbs and the flows through the month, and you bring the body back into balance so that you can really feel good all month long and through all the hormonal phases of life. So, puberty, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause.
And I'm Dr. Tara Campbell, and really my passion area in this is energy. And so we're going to share about mitochondrial health, how that stimulates your energy production, which also has direct links to your hormone balance. And a side area that links up to this is neurotransmitter balance. And so from my end, from energy to mitochondria, hormone and neurotransmitter balance, I really feel that is higher health. A little bit more on the why we created this challenge. Recapping this unique year and a half that we've all experienced, there's been positives and challenges. And so the positive is a greater commitment and connection to health and the foundations. I don't know about you, but for me, it's been just a lesson of slowing down, really taking care of ourselves and of others, and just a greater understanding of what's important. Dr. Kira is going to start us off with her why. And so share with us, Kira.
Yeah, so my true why in, doing this hormone challenge with Dr. Tara is really to empower women with this information on their hormones and their bodies. Because, I wish that we all, like men and women, learned this information when we were maybe like 12, 13, 14, but a lot of us didn't. So it's never too late for us to really understand the foundations, our bodies, our hormones, so we can support our best health. And even especially this year in practice, I'm really seeing so many women, and men really experiencing low energy, fatigue, sluggishness, before periods, weight gain, worse PMS, perimenopause symptoms, mood changes, a lot of stuff seems to be very exaggerated, I will say, in the last kind of few months.
And that's definitely the driving force in why we created this online initiative. We're really excited. We had over 600 participants registered. You can still share this content. You can sign up through hormonechallenge.com to receive all the resources. So make sure to let a friend know, especially if you loved today and you're excited for the week ahead. And so for the purposes of this challenge, we are focusing on energy and hormone balance. And because we feel that low energy is the most common denominator in all hormone-based concerns and cases that we see. And so you'll see how broad hormone imbalances go. And what we speak about today has direct parallels to all hormone concerns. So the hormone challenge is really for energy as your foundation, but that applies to everything.
Yeah, and we really want to figure out which hormones are out of balance. So when we get to the root cause of, your specific hormone imbalances, and we kind of bring balance back to the system, you can feel really good in your body. And what is that about? It's about waking up in the morning, feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep, energized for your day, and really just in the flow with your hormones.
Just circling quickly back to my why, because I didn't share it, it's community. So connecting everyone on this really important pursuit. And so you'll see and experience that working on this as a community, really feeling the energy of others, that is where true change can happen, knowing you are not alone. And so just a medical disclaimer, Dr. Kira, do you want to go through that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, everything that we're discussing over the next 5 days, it's purely for informational and educational purposes. We're not giving any specific medical advice. If anything that you hear is really resonating with you and your own health, you can bring your questions, your concerns to your healthcare medical team. If you don't have a team, then message us privately. Okay.
Sorry, so I'm just trying to change the slide here.
Oh, the slide.
I cannot change a slide. There we go.
There you go.
Our promise. So we really aim to educate and inspire the attainable foundations for realizing your truest health. Throughout these next 5 days and beyond, we aim to create and nurture an empowered community of wellness. So let's get started. Let's energize your hormones. I think there's just a delay on the changing of the slides. There we go. Okay, I figured it out. Do you want me to start on this one, Kira?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, I just loved these two people, and really they speak to me. This woman just piercingly looking at you saying what is important in your life, and do it now, right? Start now. We have all ages, we have both men and women in this challenge. And so I want everybody to really think about why hormone balance. And you know, we have our running Facebook page. It's been amazing to read everyone's stories. I strongly encourage everyone to just go through. I think you already are. And if you're not on Facebook, we'll share more with you externally. But look at what you want in your life. And then the second person, I call this man Old Man River. One of my favorite shows is Showboat. And so Old Man River in that deep, deep piercing voice. And just, I see wisdom. I see a reminder of, again, what is important to us. So let's get wise and let's tune in to our health. And so, Dr. Kira, introduce us to some of the community members.
Yeah, so do you want to go to the next slide, or people are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we want to know, this is who is with us here today. So these are just some of the comments that we have from the Facebook group. So I am 52 in a few weeks and fully menopausal. No matter what I eat or exercise, I can't lose stubborn weight around my middle. I need to find balance.
Another turning 30 years and currently 28 weeks pregnant. Exciting to learn as a future mom and what I need to know about hormone balance.
I'm turning 50 this year and it's time for some positive changes. I'm already on a journey to balance hormones through my nutrition and I've seen some really positive changes.
I'm 71. Weight loss is necessary for my health issues. Exercising is difficult for me. I've tried many diets, fasts, and routines, but have not been able to lose weight. Is it worth testing and supplementing hormones at my age?
And I'm 61 and had a complete hysterectomy almost 20 years ago. I take no meds or supplements, interested in ways to help my hormones or lack of hormones for a healthier, happier life.
And I just see a comment in the chat line asking if you should see both of us. And yes, you should. So it might be a setting in your Zoom, or I'm not sure about the Facebook page. Our backend can comment on there. But you might, I'm not sure, but you should definitely see both of us. So if you go to gallery, anyway, I guess I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully, who can see both of us?
Can anyone see both of us?
Looking at the comments, please add to the chat, not me.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So it's just a setting on your Zoom.
Oh, or so we talk. Okay. All good.
Okay.
All good.
I know for me, I can see two bars. When I click on me, then there's a single bar, a bigger bar, and then there's two bars. And so that's how I got Dr. Kira up on my screen. Okay. We'll keep going. Mm-hmm. And again, just a reminder, go to the Facebook page to read everyone who's joining in. It's really inspiring and fueling both of us to go through your stories and how we can help you. Okay.
So then we're going to go through the agenda for the week.
And it's just a little bit delayed here.
So today we're just going to cover a few more housekeeping things, and then we're going to dive into today's topic.
Today, day one, we're talking about the flow, understanding the full metabolism of your hormone pathway.
Then tomorrow, we're going to go through your calming and restorative hormones. So we're going to dive deep into progesterone, melatonin, DHEA.
And day three, talk about energy. This is my favorite topic, as I said. So energizing your hormones through an understanding of testosterone, estrogen, thyroid, and mitochondria.
And then on day four, we're going to understand and get into our rhythm of our cycle and our life. We'll go over assessment of hormones and create your action plan.
Day five is when we're going to connect all of the dots. We'll recap the week, we'll share case studies, and we'll really guide you on the next steps. All right, so no challenge is complete without making it fun. And so I've been part of various community challenges, and I noticed that participation really made it even better. And that's what we're asking of you. So we created the point system to make it fun, to help you feel more connected to this content. And so Dr. Kiera, let's go through what people can get for what participation areas.
Okay, so how we've divided it out is you're going to get 1 point for a positive comment on anybody's post, because we really want to encourage group sharing and support of each other. Then you'll get 3 points for posting the completed homework that we're going to share at the end of each day. Don't worry, this homework isn't what you remember from like junior school and high school. It's going to be fun, and it's going to help you to get onto a path of hormone balance. Then 5 points for referring someone else to join, because we really want to help as many people as we can this week. And then 7 points for you sharing your story as to what brought you here. So that's what it's, you know, it's just so nice for us to hear the stories, for us to all know that we're not alone no matter what we're going through, and we can all support and lift each other up.
Great. And also, I wanted to share that most people come to us with a combination of health concerns. So everyone is unique. Maybe people say or think, oh, you have your hands full with me. I'm a mess. Or, you know, I'm special, aren't I? And so while everyone is different, unique, and yes, special, there are common threads through every person we meet, including how Kiera and I look at our own health. So again, speaking to today, this week, we'll be touching on the foundations for everyone over the next 5 days. Yeah, and COVID has taught us even more so, right, Kiera, to get back to those foundations. So what you do on a daily basis matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all about sometimes it's like the simple steps, it's the foundation, but what you do daily really is going to create the change and the momentum to see the difference going forward. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I just want to say is that we really want to make these next 5 days as helpful for you as possible. You guys are investing your time here with us. So please ask your questions that you have either in the chat or on the Facebook group, and we will do our best each day to address the questions. If we don't get to them, we will answer them in the Facebook group.
Wherever you are at, know that health is hard, but it's also easy. When you have the right team, when you are committed and supported, you can get to the point of really enjoying all of the steps, the changes, the small wins. And health and hormone balance is fun, and authentic health is energizing. So we hope that's our biggest take-home message over the next 5 days. All right, moving on to our agenda. No, moving on to day one. We're already there. Okay, so let's get into the flow. We're going to show you how to understand the actual metabolism of your hormones and how to look at the whole picture. It's not enough to assess single hormones, and there are so many other non-hormone markers and factors that we look at.
Yeah, so in practice, when we hear low energy, some of the things that we'll automatically think about are thyroid health, specific nutrient status like B12, vitamin D, ferritin, and iron. We're also looking at cholesterol levels, blood sugar, inflammation, and then of course, hormones.
And we're going to touch on how we know which aspects are out of balance for you, whether it's hormones or the other factors we mentioned. And what about menopause, andropause? I loved one of the questions, and actually it was a common thread. I don't know if I have any hormones left. So yes, we definitely have an answer for you, and you can balance your hormones, balance your mitochondria, or stimulate your mitochondria to feel better. And as part of getting into the flow, I just love sharing this, our pillars of higher hormone health. We teach you how to build a context for your wellness, for hormone balance and enhanced energy. So this tool we're sharing here with you is what we use in all of our client visits, teaching the foundations, mindset, movement, and micronutrients. And we'll apply all of our teachings, all of your homework to these 3 categories.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's a surprise to know, but mindset really is so important for our hormone balance. So a healthy mindset, it's at the heart of vibrant health. So habits and self-talk, they are what are going to create success, and mindset will lead to the healthy choices and daily habits. And as naturopathic doctors, we're all about that lifestyle wellness.
Movement is really important as well. Talk about getting into the flow. Movement stimulates your energy and your hormone production, and it's really more than standard exercise. Movement for wellness includes breathing, hot cold therapy, massage, mindful movement, and even rest. And so we're going to show you on the next slide just the movement and flow of your hormones.
And then, of course, we'll also touch on micronutrients. So we're going to be educating on cellular health and body systems and how they interact and are going to affect your hormone health. So at Higher Health, we include nutrition, supportive supplementation, and then specific nutrient therapy and hydration, which is what we will be covering on each day of this challenge.
And this is your hormone challenge worksheet, applying the mindset movement micronutrients. We will be, after this call, we will be uploading your booklet, which will have 5 days of this hormone challenge worksheet. And we'll share with you what your homework for today is, how you can get those participation points and implement the start of your action plan. Here we go. This is your full hormone pathway. And I'd love for comments in the chat line if you've ever seen this before, if you understand it, or if it seems like completely foreign to you. Does your medical doctor go through this actual flow for you? Or is hormone balance really in your mind right now? Is it progesterone, cortisol, testosterone, estrogen, but you really don't know what to do with it? I know when I started naturopathic medicine, before I even knew how important hormones were, this pathway, probably not until second or third year, I really understood this pathway. So the start of all hormones is cholesterol. That's really important for you to know. So good, healthy fat is important for your whole hormone cascade, and you don't want too much cholesterol or too little. So it's about finding that healthy balance of good cholesterols. So cholesterol flows into pregnenolone. And pregnenolone, I look at this kind of like the shower head. Okay, so cholesterol is you turning on the water. And then pregnenolone is the shower head. And the water is dispersing out into all directions, but two main ones, to progesterone and to DHEA. So progesterone here and DHEA, and then we go down the pathways. So one side of your shower water, progesterone will metabolize down into cortisol. And then the other side of the water, the two branches coming out, progesterone, progesterone, DHEA. DHEA then metabolizes into your androgens, testosterone, and then over to your estrogens. And we actually have 3 estrogens. We have estrone, estradiol, and estriol. Estradiol is your most active estrogen. This is the good estrogen. This is what you want. And then you want to be clearing out the other 2, and you want to make sure you have a healthy balance of estrogen to testosterone. I always like to say, isn't it fascinating to know that estrogen is metabolized from testosterone? And so when we look at the whole picture, we want to know, are you metabolizing too quickly down to estrogen, which is leaving you low testosterone? Are you metabolizing your progesterone too quickly down to cortisol, which then leaves you low progesterone? And so all different variables can occur, and it's really important for us to pinpoint where you are in this whole metabolic cascade. Kira, tell us a little bit about what you see with cortisol and sort of, you know, when you low cortisol, high cortisol, sort of how that impacts the cascade.
Oh yeah, so cortisol has quite an impact on this cascade, because really what we know about cortisol is that cortisol is necessary for life. Like, we need to make cortisol. So your body's resources are always going to go to cortisol first, because we're only going to have a finite amount of resources in that cholesterol pathway. That's starting, in the top of the pathway, because anything can get bottlenecked anywhere. And with this, when we see high levels of cortisol, what can happen is, as Dr. Tara kind of mentioned, things can get shuttled more towards that, away from the progesterone pathway and go more to the cortisol pathway. So that I would say would be something that I would see quite commonly. Is that resources get diverted more to the cortisol pathway, just because that is a more quote unquote important pathway. If you think about what is necessary for life, I mean, we need hormones to feel really good, like estrogen and progesterone, but often, that's not as life-giving, I would say, as cortisol would be.
Yeah, I'll jump in there too, just to say really naturopathically where we tend to start with hormone balance for people is that cortisol piece, because we start with stress, right? So when you think of stress will increase your cortisol production. It's that fight or flight increase. Also know that cortisol is our natural anti-inflammatory hormone, right? So many, many things in our life contribute to inflammation, whether it's environmental toxicity, or if it's the foods we're eating, or if it's a poor night's sleep, or if it's, you know, an inflammatory reaction with a friend or a loved one, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Pandemic.
Pardon?
A pandemic.
Oh yeah, great. A pandemic. So that is very inflammatory, right? So it's cortisol producing. And we only have so many resources. And so when we're constantly making cortisol, constantly using our gas, we need to fill up. And so our body will call upstream to progesterone to make more cortisol. So that's how we end up getting low in progesterone, or can. And this is men and women, right? So we use up our inflammatory hormone. It's also, cortisol has a strong link to blood sugar balance. And so, you know, inflammation or blood sugar balance, cortisol is that most important starting piece, foundational piece for us to look at. And really, I would like for you to just understand how this whole metabolism works and know, well, I call it the bed sheet, right? I love this analogy, and let me know if it resonates with you. Your bed sheet, you want the corners hooked around every corner, right? And then restless sleep, whatnot, one corner might pull up. And so think of that one corner pulling up as cortisol, right? So when cortisol pulls up, it causes a ripple effect to all the other areas. So it might go first to the progesterone, or then it might go into your DHEA, then to your androgens, or, you know, it's a whole combination. And that's why assessing this whole cascade is just so important. So look at your bed sheet. One of your homework pieces, I'll plant the seed, is understanding this flow. So we're going to ask you to know what hormone speaks most to you, whether it's something you've heard of, or you caught us talking about today, and you want to know first what's upstream to that and what's downstream, right? So upstream to cortisol is progesterone. Upstream to estrogen is testosterone. Downstream to testosterone is estrogen. And then which estrogen is it? Estrone, estradiol, estriol. And so think about your bed sheet, think about the flow. This page here, and we'll post this page to the Facebook page and in your resource email, is your whole cascade. And I don't think people learn about this, right, Kira?
No, I'm like, I feel like when I learned this in naturopathic college, I was like shocked by it all too. And I know it is really overwhelming. There's lots of comments that people are like, what is this? I don't even know what to make of this. But I think that's the point, is that it's just the bedsheet analogy. So what we need to know is that all of the hormones are interconnected with each other. So we really need to have balance among them. And then just understanding, it's so cool to know that everything in the body is working in feedback loops, and everything is connected with each other. So over the next 5 days, we will break down these hormones more and kind of help you understand maybe what your pathway looks like.
Mm-hmm. Then, okay, so we'll simplify it a little bit further. Remember, it all starts with cholesterol, right? That's a big, big, big take home. Cholesterol is you turning on the water for your shower. So make sure you have good cholesterol coming into your body.
Good quality water.
Yeah, water. Really, I mean, that's a whole other area of a water quality. And so, yeah, we're looking at your digestion, your gut microbiome, your diet, your blood sugar balance. That's the start, right? Mm-hmm. And then we move into progesterone. So we'll split off to that most common pathway, right? The cortisol pathway. So progesterone converts to cortisol. And here, inflammation is really important. Oxidative stress is important. And then how this piece links back to cholesterol is, as we age, we are exposed to more oxidative stress. So oxidants are anything in an environment that they're a toxin or a pollution, or, you know, an example would be you're running down Yonge Street, there's cars driving by, you're breathing in the exhaust. So that exhaust is an oxidant, right? That oxidant, which is a symbol of all the oxidants in your life, whether you might have a little bit of mold in your shower, or you're on an airplane. There are so many ways that our body is exposed to oxidative stress. So oxidants are coming in and they are trying to get stable. They're an unstable molecule with one electron on their external shell. Think back to grade 9 science. So the molecule, the one electron, they want two to become stable. And so the oxidant easily takes an electron from a cell. So that makes the oxidant happy, but it's actually caused cellular damage and inflammation. And so as we age, it's just a natural process. We are going to have increased oxidative stress, increased wear and tear. right? And cholesterol increases as we age because it's coming in to help patch up those holes or patch up those damaged areas. And so one key treatment naturopathically as part of your hormone balance that also you might not have ever considered is antioxidant therapy. So antioxidants from food, from maybe supplementation, here IV nutrient therapy, just any way that you can quench those oxidants. And rest, sleep, getting to nature, fresh oxygen, fresh water, all of those things help minimize our oxidative damage, minimize inflammation, which then protects our progesterone. And then, so take us through the DHEA pathway, Kira.
Yeah, so as Dr. Tara said, that one of the most interesting things I do think about this too is that estrogens are coming from the androgens. So we have DHEA, which is mostly produced in the adrenal glands, and then it gets converted to, goes down the androgen pathway, to make testosterone, and then down into the estrogens. And what becomes really important here with the different estrogens is that they are metabolized through our liver. So our liver function becomes really, really important. And this comes back to the conversation too about antioxidants and detoxification and just the load that we put on our liver these days. So that's why adding all of those things that Dr. Tara mentioned, which we'll go over in more depth over the coming days, but the liver metabolism and the enzymes in the liver becomes really important. And there's also a thyroid component here too. So again, it's kind of showing that everything is connected, but we'll be going through like the foundations of how to support that liver metabolism, the working of those enzymes, the antioxidants that you're putting into your body to reduce the inflammation, and all of that to support that whole cascade.
I mean, it can also sound complicated, but then it's so simple, right? It's about the basics. When Dr. Kira and I were putting this presentation together, we just reflected on, sometimes we get an overwhelming case come in and it's just multifaceted. And some of what was listed on our Facebook page, just all different areas. And I actually find those the easiest cases, right? Because the most complex of concerns, the more, excuse the language, but people do say it, the more messed up you feel, the easier it is to actually connect you in. And it really is about just understanding the basics and start slow and steady, starting with cholesterol, with inflammation, with antioxidant therapy. And you do that every day. You focus on your mindset, movement, micronutrients that help all of those. You will see a difference with your hormone balance, with your mitochondrial health. And so we differentiate symptoms in visits. So we know what guides us towards thyroid to low progesterone, low cortisol, low DHEA, low testosterone, low estrogen, as well as high estrogen, high progesterone, high cortisol, high androgens. And so every person is really unique here. We'll cover this in the coming days, from our calming hormones to our energizing hormones. And, but yeah, maybe one other piece that you can do is post a few symptoms if you're comfortable with, or you can send it to us anonymously through email or in the private chat line. And we'll touch on them. We'll touch on, up until now in the Facebook page, we've been leading you towards listening to our presentation. Now we're going to get into answering some of these questions on the page and in our resource emails. All right. Is this fascinating? Are you learning something new here? I find this, the whole pathway, the most interesting part. We have some raising of hands.
We have some questions that we'll get to at the end too.
Okay, so let me just, we'll do that at the end. Okay, so let's look at an example of hormone flow. And so this is one of our tests that we go through. This is the Dutch, and we also do the Chi. They're two very similar tests. One's US, one's Canadian. And we want to see, I call these the odometers. And the two stars are the range. You want to fall within the range of the stars. And then this purple square is the menopause range. But I was just reviewing a Dutch test the other day for a woman who's in menopause and who is taking bioidentical hormones. And so she was actually up in many of these areas, which was amazing to see that, when we go through perimenopause, menopause, and it can happen early, it can happen in our 30s, premature ovarian failure, or total deficiency of hormone production. Actually, I'll be sharing sharing my test results. So I'm not in menopause, but my hormones in some areas I tested after a significant period of stressful time. I wanted to see how it was depleting my hormones. And so I'll show that to you. And so you can know that it's not about menopause or hormone, where you're at age-wise. It's just about looking at how to optimize these odometers. And you can do that at any age, men and women. So in this test result, we see low estrogen, we see kind of low progesterone, but okay, and then very low testosterone. We see the cortisol curve down here. So the upper black line and the lower black line are your cortisol range or curve, and you want to fall within it. You don't want to skirt too close to the lower line, and you don't want to be up well above it. You want to be balanced and flowing and following this natural looking curve. And so for this test result, this person is making a lot of cortisol, but the problem is their metabolism of it. So they're not actually metabolizing it. And so that's something we would look at. We would look at liver health. We would look at antioxidant status. We would look at certain hormones to help flow this over so that they're benefiting from all the cortisol that they're making. And then total DHEA production, remember that's the top of the shower head of the two water shoots coming out. One side goes to progesterone, one to DHEA. We're low here at the top of the food chain, which then leads into testosterone also being low, right? And then the estrogens being low further. We see all different variables here. Sometimes we see high testosterone, low estrogen. Sometimes we see high estrogen, low testosterone. And so again, knowing where you're at in the metabolism of your hormones is really important. It's not enough to just look at cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone on blood work. And many people actually go to their medical doctors asking for these hormone levels, and a medical doctor even doesn't think it tells us that much on blood work. And it doesn't really, it doesn't. And so this testing, really understanding the metabolism of it, is where the support can really come in to help you.
Yeah, and it kind of shows the connection between them too here when we're seeing the DHEA and the cortisol and the testosterone. You're kind of being able to build that connection piece a little bit easier than you would if you just saw them, frankly, on blood work, I think.
Absolutely. And then this would be the Canadian counterpart. So this is the CHI test, Comprehensive Hormone Insight. And so it's, again, like car odometers. And we can see here that the green, it goes by color system. So red would be high, blue would be low, so warm and cold. And you want to be more in the green range. And so we see moderate androgens pretty good. We see some of all the progesterones being pretty good, some of estrogens good, but low DHEA here. And then that will then flow down into your testosterone. This test, and also the Dutch, also looks at melatonin production, which is really interesting. And both Dr. Kira and I are fascinated with your circadian rhythm cycle, with your sleep-wake cycle, with your morning and evening patterns and rhythm. That's a key topic later in the week. And so measuring your melatonin is fascinating. Then applying in my sort of side passion area of neurotransmitter health, I love knowing that serotonin is linked with estrogen. And then knowing that serotonin actually metabolizes down into melatonin. So by addressing your melatonin, by addressing your sleep-wake cycle, we can actually build up your serotonin, which has a link with your estrogen. Okay, anything to share there or add there too, Kira? Keep going.
Yeah, no, well, I just want to say that we, it's like these two tests show such, they're similar things. They look a bit different. So it might be a little bit overwhelming to see this one, especially, I think, for the very first time. But like Dr. Tara said, we'll be going through each of these markers, like specifically, especially, you know, melatonin and cortisol and estrogen. And I love the cortisol curve there. So this is like a little bit different than the last one, just to give you guys, because you're probably, you know, we see so many different, because this curve kind of goes through the day, and we'll see so many different ones through testing. So this one you can kind of see it's moderate in the morning, and then it goes higher at nighttime too. So again, we'll get more into that, but I just think it's cool to note the differences, because you wouldn't know these differences unless you did this one yourself to know what's going on in your body.
And even without the testing, there are a lot of ways we pinpoint where you are most affected in your pathway. And also another thing we tend to see with cortisol curve, and this can be symptom relevant. So you just mentioning your symptoms, we can tell that you may be spiking your cortisol at nighttime here, which is not when you want to be. And that will impact your sleep, which will impact your circadian rhythm, your melatonin, then your hormones. And then you'll wake up, because it's spiking here, then you're waking up with really low cortisol. So sometimes we see this pathway flipped. And so what we want to do to energize your hormones is to calm your cortisol down before bed so that you have a really good, refreshing, restorative sleep. That's the focus for tomorrow of the restorative and calming hormones, so that you can energize and wake with more cortisol. All right, next slide. This goes back to the Dutch test and the metabolism. This pairs back to that overall bed sheet of your hormones. So we're seeing the top of the cascade of hormone pathway, DHEA, coming down to your androgens, over to your testosterone, then down into the estrogens, and then going down to detoxification and how you metabolize your hormones. So this methylation marker here is another really key topic we love educating about. It's important to know. We'll post some resources about methylation. So this person is actually quite balanced in their methylation, but often we see very low methylation or very high. And so low methylation means you have an issue detoxing and metabolizing out your hormones. And so very simple strategies to improve your methylation will help your overall hormone balance. And so then this would be the chi example. I find this one at first, it's totally overwhelming. It's like a subway map, subway map. And it's just, once you familiarize with this pathway and look at the color systems. So red is elevated, it's heated. So this person's producing out, they're good in the testosterone, but they're metabolizing to an offshoot of testosterone that we can improve their health by normalizing that, which balances out their testosterone even further. And then, so this person is showing super elevated estrogen. So we want to help this person, we want to help with detoxification, methylation, anti-inflammatory health, which will then clear these estrogens, balance out the testosterone, and back up to progesterone here, which is a bit cooler, right? So it's just the wrinkle in the bedsheet, or where it's being flipped up, is this estrogen side. And we want to smooth it all out. We want to build DHEA, build progesterone. This person's just, it's like there's a hole in their bucket, right? They're emptying out that estrogen, and we want to block the hole or patch the hole, clear it, and then balance out all these other areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love the bedsheet analogy, because it is, because it does look so overwhelming there, but we just know that there's these kind of key hormones that are pulling out, and we just want to find kind of balance among them for you to feel really good. And again, we'll be really covering on those foundations, but helping you build the foundations to work with the liver detoxification, the reducing inflammation, the antioxidants, and all that to get the bed sheet even.
Yeah, smooth your bed sheet. Actually, that could be an added piece of homework. Show us a smooth bed sheet or pull a wrinkle up and tell us which wrinkle that you think that is, or you want to know what it is. Okay. This is your homework sheet now applied to today. And so remember, every day you're going to fill this out: mindset, movement, micronutrients, applying to our theme. So we have a theme established for each day. Today is getting into the flow, understanding the movement and metabolism of your hormones. So we've put together a few things to each pillar, and then applying this to our point system, you get certain points for however you participate. Kira, tell us about the mindset.
Yes. So we, as we shared in the beginning, mindset is so important for our hormone balance and how we feel overall. So for today, day one, we want you to create your mindset mantra for hormone health and energy. So it could be something like, I am in the flow, I am in flow, whatever comes to you. And we want you to kind of think about that for the rest of your day today. So that's your mindset for today. Write it out on the worksheet and take a photo, and then you'll get 3 points for that one.
I love going through this exercise with clients of asking them what is your vision of your best health? So what is your vision of your best hormone health? And oftentimes people come in at, well, I don't want to feel foggy brain. I don't want to feel sluggish. And that's okay. Coming in at that unwanted mindset helps you lead to the more empowered mindset. And so this is so, so key. It may sound basic, but establishing your vision, establishing that mindset mantra will help you move in the right direction. Many times people are stuck. I've been there before too, of just constant repeat of where I'm at, how I don't want to feel. And that's led me to explore naturopathic medicine, to really seek that health aspect or health side of it. And so simply saying, I am in the flow, I am vibrant, I am balancing my hormones, that is the start. So you can share with us how you're feeling, which we've been reading in the Facebook page. So again, just sluggish, foggy, low energy, low libido, can't get out of bed, really having difficulty exercising. Say that to us and then move it over to, okay, what's the mindset? How can you break that cycle for how you want to feel? So create your mindset mantra for hormone balance to get into the flow. I look forward personally to seeing what you write there. Then movement. Sorry, go ahead.
One small point about that, because I really loved how you said, it's okay to like acknowledge where you're at now too. Like if you don't feel amazing where you're at, we're not going to slide over those. You don't need to slide over those and just think positively, but share the group where you're at for that support, and then just think, where do I want to be, and starting to plant that seed and build that positive mindset together.
Yeah, we need to lift each other up, right? I love that you commented on that, Kiara. Stay where you're at and we'll help move you. There was one person on the page that said, Miss Constant Low Energy over here. And so I want you to say at some point you are hopeful and energized, or moving in the right direction, flowing towards Miss Energized. And so movement, we want you to share with us one hormone you were most interested in, and either tell us which hormone that is metabolized from or metabolizes to. I'll give you a few examples again. So testosterone metabolizes into estrogen. If you're most interested in cortisol, say that cortisol comes from progesterone. And so it's kind of like that quiz or that constant repetition, hitting you in different angles to understand the hormone flow. And so you get 3 points for telling us a hormone that you're interested in, that you've heard before, and then sharing how you've learned what it metabolizes from and to.
And then for our micronutrients, so as we talked about with the hormone pathway, everything starts at cholesterol. So today for the micronutrient, we want you to take a photo of a healthy fat that you're eating today. So this could be anything like an avocado, some olive oil in your salad dressing, nuts and seeds, just kind of planting that seed for the healthy fats that we are going to be talking about in more depth in the next coming days of how to add nutrition in. But for today, let's focus on that good cholesterol as what's coming through the shower head.
We've got fat in our water. Yeah. It's the cream rinse, the conditioner. So, and I was going to say something along cholesterol. Oh yeah, just healthy fats are our friend. Many, many times in visits talking about nutrition, there's a focus on protein and decreased carbs. And I think more and more people are understanding the role of fat, but it still can be scary to have a whole handful of almonds or a whole avocado on your salad, or, or coconut oil and MCT, and really understanding all the ins and outs of that. So just know now you need that good fat to build your hormones. Mm-hmm. All right. Questions and comments we will address through the Facebook page and really dig into some comments, but should we open the floor, Kiera? I think we should. Let's look through.
Yeah, some in the chat already.
Okay, and I'm going to move out I'm going to stop the share so it's just you and I. Here we are.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. This way I can see the chat more easily. It's hard in the presentation mode. Okay. So we're going to go through. So it's a little overwhelming right now, but thinking this will help a lot. So how do you know if you are in perimenopause?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You want to run with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So perimenopause is, you know, we know that the average age of menopause is 51. And really, we define menopause as you've had 12 months without a menstrual cycle. So it's like a point in time. Now, perimenopause can actually happen up to like a decade before that. And it's kind of when hormone levels are shifting as ovarian function and things like that change. So often, some of the first signs that you're in perimenopause is that your period, your cycles shift in length. So generally by about 7 days. So maybe they're 7 days shorter or 7 days longer, unless you've had very irregular cycles, then that could be something else. And you're just having a change, like much heavier periods possibly, or you're experiencing those lower estrogen symptoms. So like the hot flashes, the night sweats, things like that. We can sometimes like run blood work and kind of see where hormone levels are at, but it's not really, there's no like diagnosis for it. So it's more based on your symptoms and how your menstrual cycles have changed.
Looking for the next question. So did you touch on LH and FSH as of understanding if we're getting close? Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't say that, but LH and FSH so those are hormones that are released from the pituitary gland. So they are what signal for your ovary to pick a follicle and start growing, and then to ovulate release that egg in ovulation. So typically those are hormones that we can see change in perimenopause and menopause. Maybe in perimenopause, FSH is like higher than 25-ish. But it's not really like diagnostic, but you can definitely get an idea of what your ovarian functioning is by looking at those hormones. And those ones do have to be tested by blood. We'll go into this in more depth, but those ones do.
I love this question. What happens if you have high cholesterol and you're still eating healthy? And this goes to that area of inflammation and oxidative stress. So remember, with inflammation or oxidative stress causing inflammation, that can cause your cholesterol levels to increase. We do break it down to understand HDL, your good healthy cholesterol, to LDL, your low density lipoproteins that you want to lower, and creating a balance within those two, but then also looking at the role of your oxidative status, antioxidant levels, and how we can improve your HDL, LDL levels. And really fascinating cases that I've been seeing lately, just with certain antioxidants and cholesterol support, and seeing an LDL level balance out. And so one specific case was a woman in her 70s, and she decreased her LDL by 1 entire point, which is a big deal. She was in 4.5 down to 3.5 of LDL. I like to see people in the 2 to 3 range. And so I guess the take home there is just, let's look at your antioxidant levels and your inflammation, and then see what changes we can make on your cholesterol.
There's a question here about the best time to draw blood for hormones and thyroid. So that's a really good question, because it really does depend which hormones you're testing and when you should test them. So if you are doing blood testing, then for estrogen, typically we do that on day 3 with the FSH and LH. And then for progesterone, and we'll be going into this as well as we go through, but that's really only produced in the second half of your cycle, so usually around day 21. If you're perimenopausal or postmenopausal, or you have a very irregular period, then we would just test it on any day. And thyroid is actually best tested in the morning as well. So, yeah.
Okay, and so still 75 and having hot flashes, that I think that's really good to share, right? That just speaks to, you certainly can have, you can be in menopause and you can still show signs of hormone imbalances. And so if you can still show signs of hormone imbalances, then you can still regulate your hormones and reduce hot flashes. Absolutely, 100%. This is speaking to different areas we've talked about, such as liver detoxification, estrogen dominance, mitochondrial function, antioxidant status. And so that's really interesting. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you learn from the subsequent days here, and how to reduce your hot flashes.
There's one question here just about friends can still join the program. Yes, absolutely, because we will be recording all of these sessions for everyone who has signed up. So if you want friends to participate in this information, then if they sign up, they'll get a recording for all of the videos.
Yeah, we know it's hard to attend this every day this week, but we hope you can and attend most of it, have lunch with us and learn and be inspired. And then know that if by chance you can't make one of the meetings, you can catch the recording afterwards. But absolutely, there is an element of live energy, right? So being on this call today at this time with us, you're connected to everyone else who is listening in and sharing. Someone else asked, will you address insulin? Yes, insulin plays into your cortisol and your blood sugar balance. So absolutely, I believe we'll be touching that on tomorrow, right, Dr. Kira, in day 2?
Insulin, sure.
With the cortisol piece and progesterone and blood sugar balance. Well, we're definitely factoring it in. And then if you still get your period, does that mean that you are ovulating? This is interesting that yes, it does, but also know that even after your period ends, so in menopause, you can still ovulate.
Well, you can get, like, you can have anovulatory cycles too. So like, it's not just because you have a bleed, like if you're getting a regular, every like 28-day period, then likely you are ovulating. But if you have concerns about that, then definitely work with your healthcare practitioner, because you could have an anovulatory bleed. And then someone said, what if you take cholesterol medications, which is a great question. So that plays into the cholesterol levels that we've been speaking about a lot today. And it really just kind of will depend. Like, it could potentially affect your hormone levels. It depends on where, like what your cholesterol levels are, I would say, on medication.
Okay, just going back to that ovulation question. So is it possible to still feel like you are ovulating, but clearly be in menopause? So that's what Dr. Kira means about the anovulatory cycle. Like it feels like ovulation. There's the rise and spike of hormones, but there's no actual release of an egg. So that's really what people are experiencing there.
Yeah, that's such a good question, because I posted, or I responded to a comment too in the Facebook group about that, because yes, like when you're postmenopausal, like you're not releasing that egg every single month. You're no longer ovulating like that. But I do definitely hear women that do experience, like, still feel ebbs and flows through the month. And I don't even know there is that whole adage about like the moon cycles, right? Like how we are kind of connected to the moon and the new moon and the full moon and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go more into depth with that. But I think we all have a rhythm at any time.
And then someone else is asking, what if you take cholesterol medications? Really great question. And so remember, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, right? So with the cholesterol medication, you're lowering the bad cholesterol, the negative or LDL cholesterol, but we still want to improve your HDL. And we want to, well, cholesterol medications in particular, this is part of the day 3. They are depleting certain nutrients, which are affecting your mitochondria. So then being on cholesterol-based medications, you want to make sure you're taking certain nutrients that will improve or support your mitochondria. And this is something, actually, just on a personal note, I'm really noticing in my dad. And so he had some blood sugar imbalances. He's been diagnosed a long time ago with type 2 diabetes. So blood sugar imbalance. I love the thought of mitochondrial endocrinology. So how your mitochondrial health, your cellular health pairs with your hormone health. And so there's a lot of mention of blood sugar balance within that. And so my dad lately has been experiencing significant fatigue. It's also paired with COVID. It's paired with so many things. And so, he's also on cholesterol medication. He's on blood sugar-based medication. And so, of course, I'm going to be taking in a nutritive support pathway for him. And again, the basics. So micronutrients, lowering inflammation, lowering toxicity, improving antioxidant status. And so I hope that answers that question well.
That's good.
All right. Do you want me to prompt here? So, but you're not producing adequate progesterone. Sorry, as you age, even though you ovulate, you're not producing adequate progesterone. I mean, perfect. We talked about this, right? Progesterone leading into cortisol, cortisol being your master stress hormone. And then you get low in cortisol, you call your progesterone down to make more cortisol, you get low progesterone. Doesn't mean you're in menopause, right? It just means you're getting depleted in your hormone pathway. Your bed sheet is getting ruffled, right?
Just looking at some other questions here.
Should I be focusing on hormone balancing during pregnancy, or is it best to focus after birth? That's a good one.
That's a great question. And of course, through pregnancy, you do want to focus on just optimal health for you, and the baby that you're carrying. But in terms of hormone balance, any big changes, obviously, you would want to make like after pregnancy. But there's so many foundational things that you can do through your pregnancy, from a nutrition perspective, even the lifestyle things that we'll be chatting about. That is just setting up your body to feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That just plays into, making sure you're nourished, you're meeting your micronutrient needs, you're lowering or keeping inflammation low, you're lessening stress, you're getting good rest. All of those are ways that you're balancing or supporting your hormones. And also in pregnancy, you have a surge of hormones anyway, right? It's like you're almost more balanced in pregnancy.
And it becomes important. Yeah, no, that's so true. And then it becomes important to just manage those swings post too. So getting being ready for that.
Yeah, I have a friend who experiences a lot of acne, and through pregnancy, her skin was glowing. And then after she had her baby, then the acne returned, and then she got pregnant again. Skin was great. And so, but that speaks to, okay, yeah, let's figure out what's going on in your metabolism of your hormones. Is it the androgenic side? Is it low progesterone, low cortisol, estrogen clearance issues? I love this question too. Why is it better to do thyroid blood testing in the morning? Well, when we think of energy, and thyroid is a marker of metabolism and energy, we want a specific range of TSH. We want to be between 1 and 2. Naturopathically, we're looking to optimize, right? So that 1 and 2 range is really ideal for metabolism and energy. And so if your thyroid is a little sluggish in the morning, so let's say it's moving to 3 or 4, and really at any time of day, but in the morning is when it's most apparent that you should have high energy, clear energy, right? Your TSH should be most balanced in the morning.
Yeah, just helps us get the most accurate level of how you're doing. So, and I see a bunch of questions too here, which are great, about other hormonal issues. So like acne, hair growth, irregular cycles, things like that. So, over these 5 days, we're really focusing on energy. But that being said, as you saw today, we kind of talked out the whole hormonal pathway. So, everything that we're going to be talking about is really helping to bring balance to all of those hormones overall, which really will impact, because hormones impact everything. So it's really going to help with all these different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So
just another quick comment before we close off. And I mean, I do like to share personal stories. And so yesterday, Father's Day, going out with my dad, and he just looks at me and he said, "What you're seeing, Tara, is me getting older." It was really sad, actually. And I'm putting together presentations for this, and studying further about mitochondrial health. And he had trouble sitting down on the floor. We were at the beach, and so sitting down on a towel. And it was really sad. He looked at me, "What you're seeing is me getting older, Tara." And I was like, "Dad, no. People in their 30s feel exhausted." He also showed extremely low ferritin on his blood work, and his medical doctors were hesitant to test his iron, and I kept saying, "No, we have to do it." And so it came back quite low. And again, having diabetes, having probably inflammation, oxidative stress, all of that. And when he says to me, "I'm so tired, and this is me just getting older," no, don't accept that. My mission now is to help my dad feel, no, like, you can feel re-energized. You'll get there, and know that someone in their 30s with low ferritin, with inflammation, oxidative stress, blood sugar issues, they're going to feel just like you, right? Yeah. So everybody, we hope you've taken a lot of insight today, and we want it to be a little overwhelming, but also fun, and that you can dig in and know that you're going to be nurtured through this whole week. We're hoping you really get to know us. We want to get to know you and really chat this up. And so remember your participation points. So another thing you can do is, for that worksheet that I showed you, you can actually, if you do all 3 of those, so post a picture of avocado, share your mantra with us, and tell us one hormone that you're excited about and what it metabolizes into or from. You post that picture. So think of our page of everybody posting that, what you're going to learn and see from that. You get 9 points, right? Send a friend in, you get an additional 7. And what this is leading to is we have some incredible prizes. For those of you who know me, I'm really keen or passionate about red light therapy. And so Rouge Canada has donated a red light for us. And then our 2 hormone testing companies who we love, Dutch and Chi. They've also donated in some tests and discounts off of you actually doing the test. So you're participating in this, you can build points, you can get a free test. And so we just really want to share all of this with you throughout the week. I think that's it.
Yeah,
we did it. Here, what color are we wearing tomorrow?
I know, right? This was an accident.
Unplanned.
We are going to see you guys tomorrow. We're going to chat all about the calming and restorative hormones. So yeah, get on the Facebook group, share your homework from today, and we're so excited to see you tomorrow.
We're touching on calming and restorative hormones, progesterone, cortisol, DHEA, all of that. So have a great rest of day, everyone. We'll see you on the chat line, and watch for your email with this recording. And yeah, we'll see you at noon tomorrow. Bye.